So I'm sure everyone has heard of pork belly burnt ends. What about beef belly burnt ends? Now, I never heard of beef belly before until recently. I saw a couple people on YouTube cook this up. It looked pretty good. Then I saw it available on Porter Road, so I had to pick it up. Now, that's why I really love Porter Road, because they always have these off-cut of meats. Like, where else are you gonna go find a beef belly? That's one of the reasons I really love using Porter Road. Now, if you've never used Porter Road, I highly suggest checking them out. Their meat is absolutely fantastic. It is super high quality stuff. Everything tastes so good. If you want to get a discount on your first order, I will put a link down below for you, so be sure to check that out. Now, I got the beef belly. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do with it at first. Now, what I was thinking is you could cure it, make it into some beef bacon. I've actually ordered beef bacon from Porter Road before. It's absolutely delicious. But I thought, why not make this into some burnt ends like you would with a pork belly? So here is our beef belly. You can see how nice this thing looks. All this marbling fat in here. This is going to be a nice piece of meat. And then the side here, you can see how much fat there actually is on this. So I'm excited to give this a try. Let's get it opened up, sliced up, seasoned, and out on the smoker. And today I'm going to be using my pit barrel cooker for this. I want to use a direct heat cooker because of all this fat in here. I want it to drip down into the coal base of the smoker and just create more flavor inside that barrel. That's why I'm using the pit barrel cooker today. I think it's an awesome option for some burnt ends, plus you get amazing bark with it. Now, I've already gone outside, set up my pit barrel. I'm going to be using lump charcoal today in my pit barrel cooker. I really like how it burns in the barrel. I think it is a little bit better than the regular briquettes. I've also thrown a few chunks of mesquite wood in there today because I want a strong smoke flavor for these beef burnt ends. Then I lit it up, got it in the barrel, so it should be ready to go. So let's get this thing sliced up and prep for the smoker. Now that is a beautiful cut of meat right there. All I want to do is just pat this dry. Super excited about this. Always love smoking a new cut of meat. And again, that's why I love Porter Road. They have so much cool cuts of meat on there for you guys to check out. Now I just want to get this sliced up for our burnt ends. I'm just going to go ahead and cut this into some strips here. And whenever I'm doing burnt ends, I really like to go a lot bigger than you think, because these pieces will shrink up a lot, especially with all the fat we got in this. Oh yeah, it's gonna be pretty interesting. Just look at this. That's straight up fat right there. So these, you can see, not much meat, a lot of fat. So we'll see how these come out. I usually like to get more meat in with my burnt ends. Same thing here. I think we're gonna be the same throughout. Yeah, again, all fat here. But we'll see how these things come out. So once you get them sliced up like that, just go ahead, cut these into some cubes. The only thing that's put me off on this, like I said, is the ridiculous amount of fat inside here. But who knows? We're gonna see how these things come out. Like I said, this is a pretty good size for a burnt end. And again, all this fat's gonna render out. So these things are gonna shrink up. They're probably gonna puff up, get really tall, but shrink a little bit. If you are watching your cholesterol, this may not be the cook for you. But if you love all things barbecue, you're always trying different cuts of meat, I try and give this a go. So there we go. Got all our pieces cut up. I'm gonna try and line these up quickly. Now I'll just throw some seasoning on here. So for today's seasoning, I have this Pinkerton's Barbecue Grand Champion beef rub. I had a friend who visited San Antonio and he went to this barbecue place and he brought me back some of their rub. And I've used this on briskets, everything beef. It is so good. They should have some online. I'll put a link down in the description below if you're interested in this stuff. Very pepper heavy. Coming from Texas, that makes sense. I believe there's also mushroom in here, which is good umami flavor. So you want to try and coat all sides of these. The way I like doing that is do the top and bottom first, and then kind of just get all the seasoning off the board. Then just go ahead and roll these around. I'm just gonna go ahead, get all these covered up with our seasoning. All right, that is all the burnt ends seasoned, fully covered with that delicious rub. So these are all set. Let's get them out, get them on the pit barrel. So I'm gonna let these burn ends go for probably about an hour on the pit barrel cooker before I go out and check them. Now, I wasn't really sure how I wanted to cook these burn ends. I've done a video where I made burn ends out of a chuck roast. If you haven't seen that, check it out because it's an awesome way to do burnt ends. Now, the problem with that is, in that method, what I do is I take the burnt ends, I put them in some beef tallow, let them cook at a low temperature to get super tender that way. And the problem with this beef belly is there's so much fat in there, I don't really want to go ahead and just throw it in some tallow. So what I think I'm going to do is cook these like I would a pork belly burnt end. I'm going to let them go for a while till they get a really nice bark. I'm going to pull them off, throw them in a tray with some butter, honey, brown sugar. I think all that sweetness is going to really help with the fattiness of these burnt ends. Then I'm going to let them go for a few hours there to get nice and tender. Then I'll pull them off. I'll add a barbecue sauce to the mixture and let them cook uncover for about a half an hour to an hour till they're finished to my liking. So that's my plan. Let's jump ahead and check on these burnt ends. All right, 3 hours in. Let's take a peek at these. As you can see, tons of fat. But that meat looks really, really nice. I'll get a quick temperature check. It's gonna be tough because it's mostly fat. So let's see what this fat's at. So in the fat there, we're looking at 190. Let me see if I can get a check on the meat on one of these. About 186. You can see all that fat. I'm getting a flare up. So I'm gonna get these covered back up. And they're ready to come off. When you are dealing with this kind of fat, you gotta be careful for flare-ups. You saw that out there. Gets out of hand really quick. But after 3 hours, these were finished, so I got them pulled off, got them into this tinfoil tray, and check that out. These look fantastic. But like I said, out on the smoker, look how much fat is on there. That is crazy. So I'm not sure about these, just because there's so much fat. But I'll tell you this right now, they smell absolutely fantastic. I've never cooked anything that smells like this. My guess is all that fat is just giving out this fantastic smell. So if that's any indication on how these things taste, I am pumped. But now it's time to get these braised in some butter and honey and brown sugar. And we'll let them cook for a little longer. So let's do that now. So here are the delicious pieces of beef belly. You can see how nice they look. They got some beautiful crust here on top. But again, like I said, look at how much fat is in there. Very crazy how much fat is in here. So I'm going in with a stick of butter, cut into little tablespoon pads, and this is exactly what I would do with some pork belly burnt ends. The only difference with the pork belly burnt ends, I might go in with a little lard. All right, now a little brown sugar. All right, so a good amount, more than a little. I just like to give that a shake. Get the sugar spread all over. Then some honey. Just drizzle that right on top of there. You're gonna want a good amount of that. And that should be good like that. So there we go. Butter, honey, brown sugar, a delicious mixture that's gonna make these pork belly burnt ends absolutely fantastic. Now just go ahead and cover that up. And now I'm gonna go get this out on the smoker. All right, so the beef belly is out on the smoker. I'm probably gonna let it go for about 2 hours. I'll give it a check after an hour. So after about 2 hours, I wanna add some barbecue sauce, so let's go ahead and make some up. So considering how fatty these pieces are, we're gonna want some acidity. So go ahead and add a good amount of white vinegar or apple cider vinegar, whatever you prefer. Next, just add a little bit of Worcestershire sauce. Now this is optional, but I like to add a little hot sauce. This is Cholula's with lime, one of my favorite hot sauces. Then add a couple tablespoons of ketchup. Now dry seasonings, we're gonna go in with a good amount of pepper, probably about a tablespoon. Again, do as much as you want. Really a fan of the pepper. I'm gonna add a little bit of garlic powder, some paprika, onion powder, some oregano. Then I like to go ahead and add a little bit of mustard powder, probably about a tablespoon, instead of adding just regular mustard. The mustard powder is really nice over regular mustard because it binds everything together really nicely. But that's everything we need for our sauce, so let's go ahead and just mix it up. Now obviously this is going to be a very thin sauce. If you want it thicker, you can add some honey, add some more ketchup, but I want a really nice thin vinegar sauce to cut out a lot of that fat in that beef. So there we go, that is our sauce. That is exactly what I think we're going to need for this fatty beef belly. You're going to want acid and you're going to want sweetness. I didn't add anything sweet into there besides the ketchup. Now the reason I didn't do that is because there's so much sugar and honey already in there right now. We don't need any extra in the sauce. So I just went heavy with the vinegar to cut out that fat. Hopefully this is going to be a good combo with that beef. Let's jump ahead, get that beef belly off. We'll get this sauce in so we can get it finished up. All right, the beef belly has been on for another 2 hours. Let's open this up and see how these things look. Ooh, yeah. These are looking really nice. Let's go ahead and mix this up, get a feel for it. Oh yeah. Super tender. That fat is definitely rendered. Let's go ahead and get our sauce and we'll add it right to this pan. Alright, now just go ahead, stir this up, try and get all these pieces fully covered, tossed around in that barbecue sauce. Smells fantastic. And these pieces are really just falling apart because of all that fat in there. Tell you what, these are going to be good, super fatty, but they should be good. Definitely reminds me a lot of those pork belly burnt ends. There we go. Now I'm just going to let these go uncovered for about 1 more hour. So I let these go on the pit barrel uncovered in that barbecue sauce for an hour. After that they started to look really nice and they were absolutely fall apart tender. So I decided to go ahead, pull them off, then I let them rest for about 30 minutes. And I was a little concerned at first how this was going to turn out because of how much fat is actually in this beef belly. Now after seeing them cook in that sauce for an hour, I was extremely optimistic with how these are going to be because they look exactly like a pork belly burnt end. Now if you've ever cooked pork belly burnt ends, you know when they're finished they kind of fall apart right in half where all that fat is, and these are doing the exact same thing. They smell really good, so I'm excited to give these a try. So without further ado, let's get right to it. First, go ahead and check this out. Beautiful crust on here, nice sauce coverage, and then super tender, just falls apart. Look at the fat rendered perfectly. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a try. Here we go. Wow, that is so good. Totally different than what I thought it was going to be like. It's not nearly as rich as I thought with all that fat in there. It's almost identical to a pork belly burnt end, except it has a nice beefy flavor. These are delicious and I will definitely be doing them again. I think this would be a perfect appetizer if you did these burnt ends and then did some pork belly burnt ends right next to them. But I'm extremely surprised with how these came out. Absolutely phenomenal. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a like. Remember, I'll put a link down below for Porter Road, and I will put a link for everything I like to use down there as well. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe right over here. And if you want to see another one of my barbecue videos, check this one out over here. But most importantly, get out there and smoke something good. Tender.